going to take a quick look at a piece that uses integral serialist techniques. And that piece is on page 194, and it's by the composer Milton Babbitt, and it's called Semi-Simple Variations. Before we look at this together, please listen. Hiccup, sorry, I just had a Coke Zero. Please listen to it, and listen to it a couple times. It's not very long, you'll get the idea. And then you'll have it in your ear, then you'll know what we're talking about. Did you listen to it? Good. So now you're thinking, Dr. Johnson, what the hell is this? So let's talk about it. Because this is a good example of a piano work that uses integral serialism. And what you'll notice is that it seems that the whole thing just sounds completely random. It's like all of these, rhythms, they don't sound like they belong to anything. The pitches are just in all sorts of places. It doesn't feel like there's any kind of unification or meaning behind them. Even these articulations, staccato, tenuto, the dynamics, everything is all different. And the reason behind this is the composer was using a row for just about every aspect of the music to come up with like an entirely, just a complete sort of thorough organization of how everything can relate to each other. Now, let's start by seeing if we can figure out any potential tone row in here. Is there a pitch row that we can find? And what I'm going to do is, when you look at this piece, the composer actually was thinking of it in terms of layers. You'll notice that we have a sort of like a soprano part, an alto part, a tenor part, and a bass part. There's always sort of 4 registers or 4 layers of activity going on. And you can see that sometimes those registers get higher. Now our soprano part's way up here, and there's our alto, and there we have like a tenor voice, and then maybe a bass down here. I mean, obviously, we're not going to get into this so deeply where we figure out every single note, but if you already can see the fact that it has these layers, that will make it a little bit easier to find the row. So look at this. We have B flat, and let's just follow along on the top. F sharp, B natural, A flat, G, A natural, and that gives us our first 6. You'll notice that we have the other 6 notes here in the alto voice. D, E, E flat, F, D flat. Wait a minute, I messed something up. I forgot the C, sorry about that. D, E, E flat, C, F, D flat. And if we look at those 6 notes in the alto, we'll find that they show up here in the soprano. And you will notice that that if we do it this way, this is sort of the retrograded version of it. Right, this one goes down a major third, this one goes up a major third. This one goes up a perfect fourth, this one goes down a perfect fourth. This one goes down a minor third, this one goes up a minor third. Up a half step, down a whole step, down a whole step, up a half step. Or down a half step, yeah, you see what I'm saying. Up a half step, down a whole step, yeah. So these 6 and these 6, we can switch them around. Now, we're not going to get into this thing called hexachord combinatoriality. I'll let you figure that out in grad school. But we can already see how the row is being used in those layers. And if we look at this next one, which starts like E flat at the top and then D flat, we might see like he's using another part of the row, that kind of stuff. Well, now that we've sort of figured out how the 12 tones are actually organized in terms of its layering, what about the rhythms? How is the rhythmic row done? Now, I'm going to tell you that the way that the rhythms are done is actually deceptive. Because whenever we think of a row for rhythms, we would probably be thinking in terms of the length in the note, right? Like it starts with a quarter, then there's like a half note, and then another half note tied to an eighth, and then like an eighth tied to a dotted quarter, and then like if we look at the others, we see we have some sixteenths, and then like then we might have some other stuff. So actually it's not the actual length of the notes that's the rhythm, it's the point of attack. And here's how I'm going to explain that to you. So let's say that I have one beat of quarter note. We actually have 4 16th notes that can go into this. And if I do it as 4 16ths, I have attack, 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 attack. But what if I did it this way instead? Attack, 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 rest. Or I could do it this way. Attack, attack, rest, attack. Or I could do it this way. Attack, rest, attack, attack. All right, or I could do it rest, attack, attack, attack. Or I could do rest, attack, attack, rest. How many ways total? Well, essentially we have on and off switches, and we have, so 2, 4, 8, 16. There are actually 16 different ways that we can do a beat of either attacks or rests, right? We could have rest, 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 right? All 4 could be rest, or it could be rest, attack, rest, rest. I mean, you get the idea is there's 16 combinations where we could have them all be different, whether they're attacking or resting, that kind of thing. So, let's see what the composer did. Let's look at beat 1. Attack, 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 attack. That's the first beat. The next one, attack, attack, rest, rest. Then this one, rest, 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 attack. Then we have attack, and since it's an 8th rest, it'll go attack, rest, attack, attack. Then we have rest, rest, attack, rest. did this wrong. Ah. Okay, this is rest, rest, attack, rest. There we go. Then this is not an attack as it's tight over. So we have an 8th that's rest, and then we have an attack and attack. So this is rest, rest, attack, attack. And this is going to keep going until it uses all 16 combos. So we should get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We should get a row of 16 potential attacks on every 16. Well, let's count up the number of beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then we're all done. Did I count this right? 3, 5, 8, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. So this is number 16 right here. And it's the only time that he uses all rests. So notice that if he were to take, so let's go back. So let's say we catalog every single 16 attacks and rests for this thing. How would we do a retrograde? Well, the retrograde would be easy. All we do is we start in the end and go backwards. How would we transpose it? How would we transpose this thing? The way that we would transpose it is instead of starting here, we start here. So the first one would be attack, 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 attack. And then the next one would start there, and it would be attack, rest, rest, rest. And the next one, so transposing it just means you start one later. So you can transpose it 16 times. Actually, you could transpose it, wait a minute, that's not right. Transposing it means we would start on the next group. So if we transposed it, we wouldn't start on this note, we would start on this one, and this one would go at the end. And if we transposed it twice, we'd start here, and these two would go at the end. So we could do it backwards. We could transpose it by switching around where our starting spot is. How would we do inversion? Inversion, we would take the attacks, and all the attacks we would turn them into rests, and all the rests we turn them into attacks. So he can take, so we can transpose the rhythm. We can do it backwards. We can invert it. We could transpose it and invert it. We could transpose it, do it backwards, and invert it, right? And come up with all new combinations of all these 16th notes. Now, now that you sort of get the idea of how he worked through the process of coming up with all these rhythms and pitches and things like that, I'm going to let you use your imagination on how the composer might have figured out his use of dynamics. I'm not going to explain that because honestly I'm not really sure, but he probably had another cool method. Now that you've watched this video, now that you've listened and better understand the process behind Babbitt semi-simple variations, I do want you to think though, what if we played this, but then we added a jazz combo on top of this piece? So imagine we're playing this piece, but then we add like a jazz combo and they improvise on top of it. What do you think? Are you with me so far? And then what if we had like sexy dancers? Right, so we have the jazz combo, we have this piece, and then we have like interpretive dance. Okay, you probably think I'm over the top, but now you can watch the video that says, don't watch this video, and then you'll understand.